Yo, yo, yo. What's up? I'm gonna take this off. All right, check it. This is going to be like a short stream, maybe 10 minutes. Just want to give a review of a writing workshop I attended yesterday. So I live in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Um, it's a city that's kind of reputed for having like effervescent artistic scene, you know. Um, there's a lot of arts funding. So there's a vibrant arts community across all levels of art. So contemporary art, sculpture, painting, video art, and writing and literature, poetry. So there's a scene. So there's always activities. There's groups that are involved that organize the activities, and the arts kind of blend into each other. So a lot of times galleries also organize like poetry activities or writing activities. So I'm not gonna name any names because I kind of want to keep it low key. But I attended a writing workshop. It was free, so already free. That's perfect. It was free. A writing workshop, a free writing workshop at a contemporary art gallery, pretty big gallery. I'm not gonna say the name, and it was being given by a writer who's kind of got some fame in the past 2 years. And it had a really good theme. The theme was bring an object from your life, and the workshop was about autobiography. So the theme was bring an object from your life, and we'll talk about it. Something like that. It was very like open ended. Just bring an object, basically. And I found an object. I signed up like 4 weeks in advance, and then I found the object like a week before or 2 weeks before. And maybe I'll pull it out. Let me go get it. So I found this object. Basically, you can't really see it. You can't really see the details because of the way the stream is set up. Let me see if I can bring some of that down. Okay, here you go. Here you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically what this is, it just looks like a little cat decoration, but it's actually like a clothes brush. It's kind of to brush your clothes, when you want to get rid of like lint or cat hairs. Instead of a lint roller, you get this brush. But this brush has been in my family basically for like, I don't know, man, since like 1990, 1992. So what are we talking about here? Like almost 30 years. And even now, as a grown man, when I put on something nice and it's full of lint, I think about that thing. I think about that little cat object, and I'm like, yo, I need to clean my clothes before I go out. I need to brush my clothes before I go out. So it's something that's kind of embedded in my psyche. And I asked my mom about it, and she told me the story of it. Like she bought it because my brother was entering. What do you call that in English? Les cadets. Les cadets in English. The cadets. Yeah. So the cadets is basically like when you're a teenager and you kind of want to train for the military or something. They wanted to discipline my brother because he was like hanging out in the street and stuff, and um, uh, they kind of forced him to sign up for the cadets. And um, when you're in the cadets, you have to your uniform has to be impeccable. Your boots have to be shiny. So um, he was using that, to clean his uniform, But in the end, the entire family was using it. So uh, it's kind of an object with a lot of emotional attachment to it because uh, we used to go to church as a family, so we would use it to brush our clothes before going to church, or whenever there was like a family event we had to attend, like at a restaurant, like a dinner or something. We would use that object. So that was my object that I brought to this writing workshop. So when I showed up there, the writer who was leading the workshop wasn't there yet. So they kind of let us like roam free in the gallery. And it turned out that one of my friends from university was having a show there. So I got to see her work, and that was cool. And then eventually everyone gathered like at the entrance, and they kind of walked us um, to like the second or third floor where the workshop was taking place. It was like in a lounge space. I had been there before. It's a beautiful building, and the writer was there, and we were almost like, I don't know, 15 people. It was quite packed. So we were 15 people in this workshop. It was supposed to last, let me see, it was supposed to last 2 hours, kind of a short time. But the workshop started, and I'm not gonna go through it point by point, but I kind of like want to give you like the overall vibe of it. Uh, First off, like it was free, so kudos. Like anything that's free nowadays, we try to attend, because you know, you don't really want to like spend money on stuff that is, you know what I mean, that could be free. Um, so kudos for making the event free. Um, the vibe was cool. Everyone was respectful. But you could tell that it was a specific class of people. A lot of the people that showed up were professionals in the arts world of the city. So graphic designers, or like people who worked in cinema. Um, there was a point where you had to introduce yourself, and you weren't obliged to, but some people like really like, you know, uh, openly stated what they did for work or for a living. So um, some people were academics, they were doing like PhDs at universities. Some worked in publishing. Um, so you could tell already it was kind of like a professional class of people, and really no outsider artists. So that was kind of interesting. And one thing that alerted me that I was kind of like in a more professional setting was when the organizers started talking about being in couples therapy, um, identifying with queerness, and watching TV series. So that was literally like from the first 15 minutes. So it was almost like the way writing was framed in this workshop was through the personal experience of the organizer. That's fine, but um, I think it was a little bit too like narrow, especially if you're leading a workshop. You kind of want the people to like bring kind of like the framework, right? Um, uh, just like a sensitivity and an openness to like all walks of life in a way. But um, the organizer talked about him traveling a lot. So uh, it was as if in the personal discourse of the organizers, he was slipping in all these class markers. Um, Professional writer, traveling a lot, watching TV series, um, seeing his going to couples therapy, so kind of seeing his like um, a relationship as a framework for writing, which is fine. Like it's kind of like a world of its own when you look into it. And uh, not everybody kind of like belonged in that space, especially not me. But you could kind of see a kind of like a aspirational attempt to integrate that space, you know. Anyways, some lady sat next to me, and we ended up working together in a group. And she had a really interesting story, actually. And it made me realize that these type of like group activities, they're very therapeutic. It's kind of like instinctively, it's kind of like everybody is trying to like assert their identity in some way, you know. Even me, in a way. Um, Everybody had their chance to like uh, talk and speak about the object that they brought, you know, and um, the stories were very diverse. You know, you could tell some people put some thought into it, and you could tell other people just it was like a last minute thing. For example, like a last minute thing would be like someone who brought their camera, right? The like disposable camera, you know. So someone brought an Olympus camera, you know, and Olympus cameras are like uh, very popular, like secondhand cameras, right? I had one like 15 years ago, you know. So I felt that that was kind of like a class marker as well, kind of like a status symbol, like an artsy status symbol. Um, Other people brought really like emotional things from their childhood. I won't get into details, but you could tell some people really put some thought into the object that they brought, you know. And they had us do an exercise where you would uh, work with someone and use their object to write a bit of autobiographical fiction, you know. And that was interesting because it was challenging to come up with a little short story like on the spot, you know. So I had someone really interesting next to me, and she brought an object that she picked up in one of her travels, you know. And when she presented the object, I won't say what it is, but when she presented the object, um, she was actually trying to tell a different story. Like the object she picked up, it didn't seem relevant to the story, but um, the story she was trying to tell is that she went through like a psychotic episode a long time ago, and this object was part of the psychotic episode, you know. So um, it was interesting to hear like a mental health struggle amidst the stories, you know. Um, there was this other person that brought her partner with her, and it was kind of uncomfortable because it was kind of couples therapy. They were talking about gifts that they had given to each other. Um, so overall, it was kind of like an interesting experience, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody interested in like writing, you know, as an art form, you know. Um, but what I really got out of it is kind of like a sample of the different creatives in the city of Montreal, you know, and you can tell that there's already in that little group there's already like a class divide, you know, the way some people act and the way they present themselves uh, is almost aligned with like uh, virtue signaling, you know. I took some notes, you know, and um, something that came up a lot was identity. And I do notice this obsession with personal identity in art, and uh, I think I've noticed that for like 15 or 20 years since I've been following like the local art scene, you know. Like if you're an immigrant, it's very important to like tell about your immigrant story, if you're adopted, if you're biracial, uh, telling a personal story about immigration or like a different ethnic origin is kind of a topic in itself, you know? And I understand all those reflexes, you know? Um, they make for like, you know, like uh, popular storytelling, you know? Those stories, they're popular, you know? At the same time, it's good for like inclusion, inclusivity, you know, DEI, you know, diversity, and I know that these galleries they specifically have an inclusivity policy, you know, so I get how people's expressions um, kind of feeds that machine, right? Kind of goes towards that direction, you know, because people aspire in a way to integrate these networks, you know. Um, my story, the one for this object, you know, um, it was very personal. You know, the way I framed it when I told the story was more about a communal feeling of being in a family, you know, and how one object served the entire family, you know, the clothes brush, you know, um, and also it 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 was a reflection also of our values, you know. Um, you know, we were always, even though we were poor, we always kind of aspired to like, you know, have you know, careful appearance, you know. So um, I kind of fell into the identity trap as well, you know. Um, what else? Yes. So when I was telling my story, I think it was one of the better stories. You know, people have different ways of expressing themselves, and some of them are more like, you know, like expressive. You know, and I'm kind of like a showman a little bit. You know, um, and I felt like I was able to connect. People were like kind of laughing at like my impromptu jokes. You know, so um, um, that was good, you know, because when I, especially for someone like me, you know, who does some type of performance art, you know, as a rapper, you know, um, it's good to speak of a crowd of, it's good to speak at a crowd of people and get feedback, you know. It kind of like reinforces your confidence in a way, you know, and it gives you like little tips and tricks, you know. So I kind of figured out that when I'm telling a story, if I'm really expressive, if I'm doing movements with my hand and kind of like mimicking movements of what I'm doing in the story, that really connects with people. So that was a good learning lesson for me. Um, yeah. Personally, I thought it was too short. 2 hours was too short. So I run workshops myself, group workshops, and our workshops run 3 hours. Um, and I think 3 hours, especially if you're a group of like 10 people, that's just right. You know, it's a little bit over long, but that's kind of like better safe than sorry. So 2 hours for 15 people, way too short. So that's something that I'll leave as feedback. But other than that, I think I'll be going to more workshops for anything that are free because it really stays with you for a few days, you know, for a few weeks, for a few months afterwards. And it changes you in a way because you understand other people's reality, even if it's just for a fragment, you know, for a fragment of time, for a slice of time, for a small moment, you know. Um, it's always good to kind of get a picture, even though it's an incomplete picture. It's good to get a picture of what someone else is going through, what someone else's story is from their past. And yeah, just people acting like human beings. So that's my story. Uh, if you ever see an ad for like a type of workshop, art related workshop, I encourage you to sign up and attend. And yeah, let me know if you went to one and you liked it, or whether you liked it or not. I think these things should be more common, and I'm gonna keep looking for them and attend them. That's it. Apart from that, I can give you an update on what I've been up to. Basically, I've been looking for work, like paid work. um, I'm kind of like in a phase where, like, I need to make a lot of money. you know I need to take care of like lots of things around the house. Freelance is kind of slow. you know that's just the nature of it. I've been doing it for 2 years. Sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't get stuff. And you have to advertise yourself. So it's like a continuing process. And sometimes you might get lucky for like 3 months, 4 months, you have steady work, and then nothing. So I've been looking for work. We'll see what comes up. And I've also been trying to make myself visible, advertise what I do, and also working on personal projects. So I don't think this is ever going to stop. I don't think the freelance reality is ever going to stop. I might get a steady job. It looks like it's likely for my future. I don't mind, as long as it's kind of aligned with what I do already. So anything that's related to like communication, uh, uh, you know, uh, multimedia, like graphic design, whatever's kind of related to that, I'll get a steady job that's kind of related to that. Um, and always keep like applying to like galleries and residencies and like whatever comes my way and inspires me. So that's never going to stop. Um, I'm hoping to be at Montreal Exposine this year. We'll see. I already got 2 ideas for some zines that I want to make and sell this year. And yeah, I'll be working on some music videos as well. Some new music videos are coming for the music I make with my record label. Um, that's it. I know a lot of you follow me because of the hip hop videos that I post. So check me out. I also make hip hop music. Check out the videos that I make. Check out the music that I post in French and in English, and maybe in Spanish in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna leave now. Um, I don't see anybody in the chat. No worries. Maybe my thing is acting up. I'm using OBS for the first time. I'm gonna get more acquainted with it, and we'll go from there. All right, I'm out. Peace.